how this crumbles. So let's see how it goes down. In the bottom left here, immediately sending his probe across the map at the beginning of the game from Good Game Gaming. This is Cyan.
And our Zerg friend up here in the top right, representing Team Lao Power. This is Wanted.
Wanted. Of course, was a very spicy sausage in his first series against Time. Managed to get a map there, but I'm kind of expecting, honestly, a very similar series from Wanted, where I think he's that guy. You know, he's one of those Zergs. And that guy is always entertaining to watch. You know, your Blyes, your Darks, your you know, your Mia Micas, all those Zergs, they have fans because they are never boring, always entertaining, no matter what they do, whether they win or lose.
Yeah, I definitely love watching the super aggressive players. I know a lot of people are like, ugh, stupid build, all in a
play properly. Oh, I'll push the glasses up the bridge of their nose.
But like, you don't want to watch 20 macro games in a row. Like, come on, guys. You got to keep it fresh sometimes. And guys like Wanted definitely do that. So he's opted for pull first here. Not taking any risks, I guess, and going straight for his natural. After a bit of a detour down to the third and then back, just trying to figure out where Cyan's probe is so that he doesn't have to get blocked for very long.
Yeah, indeed. So the probe went across the map for that block, but Wanted was just like, nah, it's fine. I'll just take my hatchery, you know, a little bit later while that probe's out of position. Sending the Lings across the map now for a little bit of a look and see what's happening. Wanted not really showing us his plan at the moment, and I'm really like on my eyes glued on that production tab from the Zerg of, you know, what is going to happen, what is the plan. He's got that gas fully saturated, hasn't pulled out of that gas, which you as a Zerg knows, Zeph, or as a used to be Zerg, I think you now identify as a Terran, but keeping your drones in the gas usually does mean that you're up to no good. But oh, okay, just start speed and pulls out like you regularly would, just a little bit off time, I guess.
Yeah, perhaps a little distracted as he micros these couple of Lings around the base. Gets a bit of a scout. He's keeping the Adept busy for a moment. Not too much to be done or seen here, but of course he's waiting for that tech to come down, so he just wants to get in and confirm what he's up against. You could probably bet that it's going to be Stargate no matter who you're playing at this point. If they're a Protoss.
It's just a better ripping.
Yeah, it just pays to check. Occasionally, someone will be like, hey, remember that build called Adept Glaives or something?
Yeah, the Adept Printer. That's right. You know when you really want to get old school and blow the dust off of an old ancient Protoss tome is when you whip out the DT Prism drop with the Archons. Remember that? Remember that build? That used to be every PvZ for a long time.
You got to consult the archives for that one. Yeah, that's definitely falling out.
You got to climb a mountain and consult the oracles that live up there, and only you know, tell people build orders once every 10 years.
Yeah, in your time of greatest need.
Yeah, usually before your country goes to war. Oh, one more nibble on that Adept actually gets the kill there. That's nice. I mean, losing 2 drones does stink, but oh man, 2 Adepts for 2 drones. That's great. Very nice trades for Wanted.
Yeah. A little bit annoying that he loses the creep tumor because he is taking that third base in the more forward position. Would love to have that linked up, but obviously getting rid of the Adepts altogether is A-okay by the Zerg. He's just got to be able to contend with that Oracle that's going to be slipping out here in a moment. Has he got spores yet? I don't think he has.
No, I don't think so. I'm not even sure if he's 100% sure this is a Stargate. I mean, he knows with the Overlord about to scout it, but has he had Lings looking at the warp gate research and that sort of thing is normally the sign that you're going to go for, that you're going to be up against Stargate. He's getting his spores now, but a little bit late to the party in the natural. See, the Queen doesn't have support here. She's got one of her sisters on there. Oh, Cyan's trying to thread the needle with that Oracle, and it does escape. No. Wow, Cyan was threatening the main for a second there, or at least flirting with that idea.
Adepts are going to come in and try and do a little bit of multi-prong while hopefully the rest of the units are distracted. The drones are actually going to pull here to block and fight a little bit as the Queen's trying to do as much damage as possible. And man, those Adepts are doing some work.
They are. 8 more drones going down, and now there's a 10-worker lead for Cyan over Wanted. He has lost quite a few Adepts. You know, this wasn't for free. But if he does like some pretty critical econ damage, then he can afford to do things like this and still be all right without, you know, it doesn't have to be clean.
He's still making oracles.
Yeah, triple Oracle here, and then Twilight Council. So switching out of Oracles into a ground pound army now, heading towards charge and +1 and that sort of thing. But But triple Oracle is definitely frightening to deal with for a Zerg, because that can actually engage Queens directly. And it's very, very good as well defensively if you have to deal with, like, say, your Ling Flood at your third base or something like that.
Yeah, it's something that you definitely can't take your eye off, because you will lose your entire mineral line. And this is how it's best served to, as Cyan is doing it right here, with Adepts, because the Zerg is trying desperately not to invest too much into more units, but now he's got to make 20 Lings. His Roach Warren isn't finished. He doesn't actually have an answer for these Adepts. He's been too focused on the Oracles, which are now going to try and zap a couple of extra drones down at the third, while these Adepts make it into the main. Does end up having to recall them though.
Yeah, indeed. So many drone kills in this game, though. I'd love to get the look at that total once the once the Oracles fly away. 16 drones. It's so many. Yeah, Cyan definitely having a really good start to this game, and he's actually not going immediately into charge. He's going into Blink and +1 here. So Cyan is, you know, I expected Wanted to be the aggressive weirdo here, and it's kind of Cyan being the aggressive weirdo here. Wanted's the normie.
Very confident moves from Cyan. Just kind of crippling Wanted, really. I was going to say, if he had have actually gone like Void Ray printer builds, that really sucks as the Zerg, because you don't have the econ you need to sort of hold that off. But in any case, I mean, how is he going to hold off a 65 probe Cyan who's climbing up that tech tree like no tomorrow? He's got 5 gates finishing up. He's got Blink and +1 almost here. No matter what Cyan throws at Wanted, it's going to suck a little, because Wanted is still trying to get up to a respectable drone count. So he's really not where he wants to be.
Definitely not. And, you know, he's got this big ball of Zerglings, but, you know, with a big ball of Zerglings, you want to be active, you want to be threatening, you want to be forcing out, you know, units, maybe doing damage, maybe threatening a base. And he's just got that sitting on his ramp in the natural. Like, his army is just sitting there, and that's not doing anything for him. So these units are actually not, they're I guess, making the shades not complete these natural and just win the game, so that, you know, their existence is great in that regard. But we've got Cyan heading towards an incredibly powerful mid to late game Protoss army, which you've, you know, seen Parting and Trap sort of popularize here in this matchup. It used to be all about, you know, the Archons, the Charge Lots, and that sort of thing, but he's going to have Blink Stalkers and Colossi, which is just devastating as a combo, and usually with a bunch of sentries, but charges on the back end here as well as +2, so it may actually still be, you know, that front line of Zealots.
But not only that, he's going to end up having +2, whereas Wanted is still creeping towards +1. So that's going to be really difficult to engage cost efficiently. You need like a favorable concave or something on your side, because a lot of this army that Wanted has is still Lings too, which, you know, okay against Stalkers, I guess, but he's actually got to get
Well, we got the Revelations coming down from the Protoss to get rid of the small amount of creep spread that Wanted does have. I mean, the creep spread's not too bad on the right side of the map here, but it is getting cut into by the Protoss. And it's, you know, I called Colossus here because usually Colossus joins up with the Blink Stalker and Sentry for a pretty amazing anti-Roach Ravager army. But it's actually going to be Disruptors and a bunch of Blink Stalkers here from Cyan. So his army is more fun. I don't know if it's better, but I like Disruptors. I think they're really entertaining. A great Stasis Ward on the Lings there on the left side, by the way.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is what you want to do with your Lings, but, you know, they're not getting a whole lot done at all. Wanted is getting outclassed here in this game.
Disruptors are actually one scenario where having a few Lings is valuable, but yeah, he's going to have quite the force coming out here, and he's got to find a way to beat it. I like that he's being really active on the map with these Lings.
Oh my god.
Ravager Ling here to deal with the initial pressure from Cyan, and he's just waiting for those Disruptors to roll in by the looks of it. Lings are going to try for a counterattack, but LOL, there's like 50 cannons there, so not really going to happen.
Yeah, those Lings aren't going to do anything here for Wanted on the counterattack. But bringing them home isn't extremely helpful either. There's a lot of Adepts here. +2 is about to finish for those Adepts, so they're going to just erase these Lings. There's sentries with a ton of force fields as well. Now, after the Disruptors, we are seeing some more Colossi being thrown in the mix. And again, a lot of force fields. And Wanted's army is just very... it's a good composition. You know, you can go Ravager, Ling, Bane, or even just Roach Ravager, Ling for quite a while. He is on his way to Banelings. But if you need the numbers, I feel like, for an army like this to work. If you're a similar army count to a Protoss and they got their tier 3 units, they got +2 attack, they got Disruptors, they got Sentries, they got Force Fields, they got Blink Stalkers, your army is just no good.
And Cyan, without having committed to a fight or anything just yet, just keeping the pressure up, keeping Wanted busy, might actually commit now that he's got some charge loss to distract. But he's continuing to expand behind this as well. So no matter what happens here, he's pretty gravy. He moves forward, does take a few shots from those biles, but oh, this Baneling's not actually going to happen there. And he's trying to find an angle to fight here, using the disruptors to push Wanted back. Oh yeah. My goodness.
Oh my God. All right, well, that just happened.
Disruptor.
So both players not having their best game of StarCraft here.
Yeah. Best Zerg unit for the time being. Oh, he could actually get surrounded here, and that could be a big problem for Cyan. This could be exactly what Wanted needs.
It is exactly what Wanted needs, and Zeph, that Disruptor was amazing, by the way. I was going to say, you know, I really hate being that guy, but this game was unlosable, I thought, for Cyan. And I mean, I still think that he's in an all right spot. He's in good shape. Definitely still, you know, I would favor him to win still, but he needs to not do that again, obviously.
Solid advice.
Yeah, just try and kill the enemy units while not losing your own units. Okay, go.
These Zealots I actually really like from Cyan. It's a distraction. He could possibly get some worker kills. He could possibly take out a hatchery, but it's also giving Cyan time to rebuild a little bit of what he lost there. He's gone full into Colossus at this point. He's still making them. So he's going to have 6 out here in just a little bit. He's still got 1 disruptor for good measure. Getting the DT Shrine behind us as well. The yanks from the Vipers, though. A couple of Colossi are going to get absolutely cleaned up. Big hits from those Banes, and there's not a lot of Protoss army left. The Oracle's doing their best in the sky, though, and they're actually adding a fair bit of damage. Looks like they're out of juice now, though.
They are indeed, and the anti-air countermeasures really aren't here for Wanted, who has lost 20+ drones in this game, at least to the Adept Harassment and the Oracles so far. His army getting pulled out of position. Okay, 20, there we go. So he's lost 20 workers in this game, and that's insane worker damage that Wanted's had to deal with. And not only that, but also whether the flow of Protoss forces pressuring him while trying to get those drones back up. And we've got Wanted on his way to getting chitinous plating. So Ultras seems to be on the menu here for Wanted. And he has got those upgrades looking a little bit better. He's still just Ravager Ling Bane at the moment, but Aspire did finish as well. So, you know, does he start, I guess, thinking about going for air units, or is he happy to just go into Ultras? It looks like Ultras is the call here.
Yeah, that makes some of this Protoss army less of an ordeal. Like the Colossus lasers, you can survive a few swipes of those disruptors. One shot him unless you get hit by multiple at one time. He's been a little bit not great at dodging those biles, actually. I think he's like just multitasking really hard, not necessarily paying attention, but he's continuing to try and expand. And I think if he keeps up that Zealot harassment, that'll be a really big boon to him, because if he can stifle Wanted a little bit on the economy and stop him from comfortably mining from those extra bases, then that's another way to ensure a victory here. But Wanted's actually done a brilliant job at sort of getting back into this.
DT is starting to come on in now. There is a Spore Crawler there, but the units need to show up to actually kill that thing. There we go. So another few drones go down. The Ultras are, and that was a kill, no cancel on that hatchery. The Ultras, you know, can sometimes be a little bit sort of head scratcher when you see them coming up in ZDP. But think about the army that he's up against versus Cyan. The Ultras actually with chitinous and upgrades and definitely with an anabolic synthesis, like when they have their speed as well as their chitinous done, they're quite good against like a handful of Colossi, especially in open areas. And these Vipers are full of energy, so he wants to hug some Colossi to death here. And hug he does.
Yeah, gets at least 2 of them, and he's actually pressing forward here. I don't know
about this attack, though. Yeah, I don't know about this attack.
Oh, he's going to actually lose 2 extra Ultras for that.
Well, you know, not amazing, but again, he did take the Colossi down, which are essentially the same price as the Ultralisk.
Yeah, if he keeps eliminating key units like that, it does limit Cyan's ability to move forward and actually punish after an exchange like that. He's relying a lot on these Zealots to try and do some damage for him. DTs haven't been too successful, but there's a lot of static defense up here because Wanted knows that's one of the biggest threats to him at the moment. Oh my goodness, we're going up to Great Aspire.
We are indeed, and yeah, I tell you what, I did not expect any of Wanted and Cyan's games to go for over 10 minutes. So this is a real treat to see them try and figure out what to do in the late game. Obviously, after seeing the Immortals, rather after seeing the Ultras, Cyan is now double producing Immortals, which are an incredible unit, like the best unit Protoss has against the Ultralisk. So, you know, and they already have +3 attack, and that not only, you know, it's not like they're just adding 3 damage to each shot. That like stacks all their plus armor damage as well. So they're going to erase ultras here when those immortals show up.
Nice use of the Biles by Wanted to zone out the Protoss army so he can't be chased right away.
Oh my god, Zeph. Broodlords win this game. If Wanted can get to Broods, look at this army of Cyan.
They actually do. I was just looking at Wanted's money because I'm thinking, does he actually have enough to go for it? Because I'm seeing a scenario where Cyan, if he can attack soon and he gets in right before that Broodlord window hits, then that's kind of the best time. But he is actually not really making much of an effort to get across that creep. He's been thwarted pretty much every time he's moved across recently. So it is hard to actually get into Zerg territory and cause some damage. And now we have the initial Broods morphing. This could be pretty bad.
Yeah, the Broods actually win this game. If the Broods show up on the Protoss side of the game, I think it's GG Wanted. But if Cyan has time to warp in a bunch more Stalkers at home, he can muster up an anti-air force. But he's losing a lot of them to the Zerglings right now. And every Stalker that dies is going to make Wanted smile a little bit more broader.
Yeah, more Zealots coming in, and he just needs to keep moving those to different bases because obviously Broods are slow and clunky, so they can only be in one spot at a time. You've got to try and go around it, especially if you get caught with your pants down, which is what's going to be happening to Cyan here. He's getting DT blink and everything, so that might help in terms of just doing damage elsewhere, but ultimately that Zerg army is starting to look pretty juicy.
Yeah, it certainly is. And these Broods are found at least on the Zerg side of the map. There goes the Revelation there on the Broods. And we're going to be seeing a quick scramble to Broodlord countermeasures here from Wanted, from Cyan rather. He goes to the recall in the army because it absolutely does not win this fight. And there we go. 12 Stalkers being warped in as he's just on desperation maneuver to get as many Stalkers as possible because he just does not have an answer to Broodlords, especially if those Broodlords have got anti-Stalkers underneath them. The Stalkers go for the jump on the Broods. Blinding Cloud actually kind of covers them a little bit.
He gets 2 Broods for his troubles there. Ultra's trying to attack down to the bottom right, aren't successful due to the cannons and batteries there. These Stalkers still trying to get rid of every Brood that they can. But he's going to need more of those. Cyan counterattacking with what he has left on the right side, stuff that can't really shoot up very well, if at all. So he's going to try and do some counter damage, and we may see some trading here just while Cyan sits back and tries to get some more Stalkers in the mix.
I mean, it looks like Cyan's got the units here, and brace trade-wise, he's got a lot of DPS in this army and a lot more to clear up. I think he can't beat the army of Wanted for a while until he gets a lot more Void Rays up. I mean, he's on his way to making them now from that single Stargate that he started the game with, and he's got 2 more Stargates on the way. It does feel like Cyan's got this. He just needs to be patient. Don't do stuff like this. Like, this isn't smart. I don't know what he was like. He's like,
yeah, maybe he's thinking
I'm going to lose 9 Stalkers, but I'll get a Broodlord.
He's starting to get into the meat and potatoes of the army. There's not a whole lot of mining happening for Wanted at the moment, so maybe his logic is if I get on top of those Broodlords, he's not really going to be able to remake them. So maybe that's his rationale there, but still, like, he needs more time to build more stuff. He's getting 2 more Stargates. And certainly if he gets to that point, like, what can really defend those Broodlords from Void Rays is another question.
These 3 sisters looking to do it for themselves underneath the Broodlords, but they just don't have the firepower. If there's 3 Void Rays against 3 Queens, yeah. It's not just going to be 3 Voids, it'll be like more 4 or 5 Void Rays. It's going to be quite nasty. It does feel like Cyan's got the checkmate maneuver here. The Broodlords look like a win for Wanted if the Broodlords show up on the Protoss side of the map. But with it being shown up on the Zerg side of the map, actually, he first saw the Broodlords in the top left, Herovox side. Cyan managed to survive long enough to get enough defenses up to get those extra Stargates down, to get the Void Ray ball up, and Zeph is completely correct, as she often is, because she's so smart. The Void Rays will win this game for Cyan when they show up. Yeah,
this is a rough way to lose for Wanted too, and he goes straight for those Queens with the Oracles even, knowing that they're not really very useful for him anymore, and Wanted is thinking he's still in this, right? He's taken that base, he's got a bunch of drones down there, but Cyan is just taking all the time in the world to make a lot of friendly Void Rays.
Well, Zeph, nothing is like, if you give a kid a candy bar and then you take it away, that's worse than never giving it to them at all. And Cyan wants this game to hurt Wanted. He's like, I want Wanted to have hope. I want him to think that he's going to win this game. I want him to be like, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'm going to finish the streak. I'm not going to lose the 10th series. Mom, I've done it. And then Cyan's going to show up with the Void Rays and go, think again, kid.
Psychological warfare. In he comes with his fleet of Void Rays, a few Stalkers, and a bunch of Colossi, and Wanted knows. GG.
That's right. Brutal, Cyan. I can't believe it. I thought we were all friends here.
Can't believe you've done this.
I can't believe you've done this. Well, I tell you what, that was one of the weirdest games of StarCraft at the highest level that I've seen in a while. Wanted and Cyan are extremely good players. Cyan is no stranger to the international circuit, especially in the WCS days, but not his greatest game, but good enough for government work, as they say. And Cyan gets the W in the end. I'm hoping Game 2 is a little bit cleaner and a little bit more precise for both players.
Yeah, there was some weird stuff in this game. Obviously, the opener for Wanted did not go super great. Really nice from Cyan, just being all over the place. But this is the moment that changed things, folks.
This is the don't F2 things lesson right there. And F2 also controls your disruption novas.
Everything changed after the disruptors attacked. And
that's right.
The Zerg army started to gain a lot of ground.
Yeah, those Vipers were really critical here for Wanted in the defense. Those yoinks and the Colossi. He killed a lot of Colossi in this game. He had some really good fights, Wanted, actually. Like a lot of really good engagements. Obviously, one of them, Cyan helped him a bit with that F2 on the Disruptors, but without the Disruptors' help, he still won us some great games there with some good Viper control. Unfortunately, this was the GG maneuver. He saw the Void Rays, and Cyan didn't even bless him with any laser beams. He's like, I'm not even going to shoot you. I'm just going to show the Void Rays. Look at my voids. Now leave.
He just flexed on him and
that's right.
Waited for him to GG. So yeah, a little rough for Wanted, but that was a really good game from him. Like, we didn't really expect like solid macro ZVP from him because he's been so crazy. As you mentioned, probably some dark inspiration in there for him. So we'll see what happens on Romanticide, I guess, because I feel like, do you really want to keep macroing against Cyan? Maybe not, but
maybe not.
Yeah, we'll soon find out.
We will soon find out. Unfortunately, it'll be after the break, but don't go away because it won't be a long one. We'll see you then for Cyan and Wanted Game 2. Well, hello there, StarCraft fans. Welcome back to the DreamHack Masters Fall main event here for China. I'm main up with me is Pig. No, not Pig. Excuse me. Who's the other one? Zeph. There we go.
What just happened? I'm flattered.
It's the highest compliment available to any commentator out there is to be confused for Pig, the biggest brain in all of StarCraft. No, what happened there was I'm tired. I didn't sleep much. So, yeah. I will never do it again to you, Zeph, I promise.
It's okay. I'm not offended. That was great. Good job.
All right. Excellent.
Yeah, so game number 1 ended on a sour Broodlord note, unfortunately for Wanted. But game number 2 is loading in shortly here, folks. And we're kind of braced for perhaps a little bit of worm action, maybe, just a sprinkle.
I think so. You know, this is the map where I believe it was this map where it might have been Lightshade. I'm pretty sure it was Romanticide where that was the final game in Codes, the finals where Dark gave him the triple worm. I'm feeling like something like that is really going to mess with Cyan. Don't let him get to that mid game. Don't let him get to that late game. You know, maybe he'll box these disruptors and mess up with it every now and then. You don't want to rely on that. You want to be able to get in his face and control the tempo of the game. But anyway, in the bottom right, a really good gamer from Good Game Gaming. This is Cyan.
And up here in the top left, he is representing Team Lao Power. This is Wanted.
Some huge teams in China. Actually, a lot of them have gotten Korean rosters. I think Kaiser Gaming's currently unloaded a lot of their players. They still got time, but you know, of course, a lot of brands getting sprinkled between, of course, not just China, but also Korea, Taiwanese players, all on many of those teams. That whole, I guess, the part of the world, Asia, that's what it's called. That whole area, sort of intermingling teams, which is good to see. It's good to see the infrastructure and people getting paid and getting salaries to play the game they love to play.
So, was that Nexus first?
I believe so. Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Cyan playing Romanticide like a bit more of a macro Protoss than I thought. You know, I've not seen a Protoss go Nexus first in quite a while.
Yeah, strange. Against a guy who went pool first in the last game too. So, I mean, fair enough. I think the pool was more a decision because he didn't want to deal with Protoss pestering in the early stages of this game. And again, we see Wanted has actually taken that forward third base as his natural, if that makes sense. So, okay.
All right. I mean, he's not getting punished for it, which is the plus side here for Cyan. So, gets away with that slightly faster Nexus. No downside to it whatsoever. I mean, he has to get a Zealot here to plug the hole and respect the fact that Zerglings could just arrive. You know, you don't want to lose the game to 4 Zerglings. So, just going to keep himself safe there in the natural, and we're all good to go.
Yeah, interested to see where Wanted takes this game. The forward third base can be nice sometimes, especially if you're trying to like extend creep forward first. But it does come at the price of not having your bases connected early on. If you've got an adept slithering around early on or something like that, it can be a little bit harder just to get your units flowing between those bases to protect them. But yeah, so far so good for Wanted as well. He's going to now take his natural.
Yeah, and the Wanted expansion pattern, that's usually a little bit more on the aggressive side, yeah. Like you normally, you almost always want the higher ground when you're expanding, and Romanticide offers you that nice, strong, defensive triangular pattern, which Protoss is almost always going to get. But Zergs, when they expand this way, it usually means that they want to get creep out into towards the middle of the map a little bit quicker, and throw away that sort of higher ground terrain advantage. In the meantime, we see that Wanted's dropping a Roach Warren here on 30 drones, and that's what I was alluding to here. When you get that third hatch at the front, it's usually a bit of a sign of aggression.
Yeah, you're looking to do some sort of damage usually, because otherwise, like, why wouldn't you have a nice cozy third base that you can defend nicely? It's, you know, you're looking really far ahead if you're thinking about a secure fourth base. And so again, it's Stargate from Cyan. He's gone with the Oracle. They've seen each other. They know what's going on here. That Overlord and that Oracle. So we see those spores come down a little bit sooner this time, whereas last time you're sort of dropping them as the Oracle rolled on in there.
And the queens are being amassed, and the spores are on the way here for Wanted. And, you know, things like roach rushes and that sort of thing don't really exist anymore because, I don't know, the Void Ray. It just shuts it down so hard. It's like the easiest thing in the whole world right now for Protosses to, you know, deal with a sort of a later 3-base roach rush. For the most part, with, you know, shield batteries and void rays. Obviously, some players are definitely going to die to it. A lovely stasis ward there from Cyan, by the way. Wanted set those queens and forgot it, and just like, oh, they got it. No, not quite. That Oracle was one shot, and it actually escaped after dropping that stasis ward.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about Roach Rush dying, but the evolution of that is the Roach Queen Walk.
Yeah, that's right. That's the next.
Yep.
Zergs adapt, just like the lore in StarCraft 2. They adapt and evolve.
Abathur would be pleased.
He would be. He would have spun this build. Oh.
So, the Roach production has commenced. There are a couple more queens on the way here, as well as he continues to try and push this creep forward. Nice snipe, actually, on the creep tumor there from that Void Ray. If you can sort of keep that back, then that's great. But against queens, your ability to do so is a little bit limited.
I actually feel like Cyan might start to get wind here as the Oracle rolls up to the natural and sees that, you know, there's not many drones at all here at this base. He drops that revelation. And the Observer seeing the creep highway in the middle of the map, these roaches being turned into Ravagers. Cyan knows, he starts shield battery production. And I think out of the Robo Bay, honestly, we might be seeing some Disruptors pretty quickly here. Going to be fantastic against Queens off creep is the Disruptor. The Immortal even is pretty fantastic. I mean, it's kind of like, you could also go Prism here to juggle things around, but I think the Disruptor is even better to go immediately into here for Cyan.
Yeah. The only downside is it does take a little bit to build, so you have to sort of buy yourself some time here. Luckily, the queens are very slow, but Wanted can start pressuring. Attacking up the ramp, though, sucks, and you can see that Cyan is taking advantage of that. He's going to put his static D up here. There's still not that much Protoss here, though, and that's a lot of Zerg. So he's just got to pick his battles wisely, try and target down individual units, and here comes the Disruptor. Can he get a nice shot? Only gets one so far.
Yeah. Not the greatest Disruptor over there, which means the Zerg unit's going to have a bit more time to shine here in the natural. There's so much static defense here, though, and the overcharged shield battery. I really don't like attacks like this on Ramanda's side because you have to attack up this choke point, and yeah, it's a wide ramp, but if Protoss gets wind of this build, they start to set up this line of static defense, and it's so hard to crack. Even with a small Protoss army, it's doing the job. It's holding.
Yeah, 4 Ravagers just get evaporated by those Disruptors. And now it's basically the Queen show. There's only 1 Ravager left here and a couple Lings trickling in, and sure, that feels great in the moment, but honestly, it's really not doing anything. He's just losing everything at this point. Still got those Disruptors alive, and he knows it's over. GG indeed.
Cyan wins his 10th series.